and this is our second presenter. Okay? So, here's our first presenter. Our first presenter is Valisa Nogueira, who has a maiden name that was something different. But anyway, she's a member of a lot of family here in our church, and she is a certified herbalist and a nutritionist and a great cook, and she's been on 3ABN, and she's been on Good News TV, and she's presented her recipes in a lot of different places. And she's going to be doing our move from restaurant fare to vegetarian healthy fare. And she's going to, we're calling her our better. So, this is Valisa Nogueira, and we welcome her tonight.
But I'll talk about some of the things I'm using. I'm going to make a fried zucchini, which I know frying is not so good for you, but I am using, if you've heard of grapeseed oil instead, which is a good high heat oil. You don't want to use olive oil as a high heat oil because that causes some cancerous, how do I say it? When you heat it to above about 130, 140, it causes some cancer, things that, carcinogens, thank you, to come up. And so it's, olive oil is better for a low heat cooking or raw cooking. But rapeseed oil is proven to go up as high as you want without causing any problems, or as low as you want. So this is what I use pretty much all of the time. I'm going as loud as I can. So in my pan, I'm going to put about 2 inches above the bottom, but I'm only making a couple. In here I'm going to put my 2 eggs, and in my breadcrumbs I am using dill. Are you guys familiar with dill? Okay. And I'm using sage. These are both antibiotics, and they're really good. Keep your immune system up, and it gives a really good flavor to the zucchini. So that'll be my base, and I'm going to cut my zucchini in about a 1/4 inch. So maybe that. I'm a little tall for this. And I want my oil pretty hot. And these are demos, so you'll get to try them in a few minutes. Don't have a stir for this, but we are going to... It wasn't from here, sorry. My hands are clean. You can use gloves. I use gloves a lot. You're going to dip your zucchini in the egg wash and then into the panko. You can add some salt if you want to, but I put it on at the end. And I do usually no more than 5 or 6 so I can keep an eye on them. And that's a little hotter. But I am an herbalist, so I really specialize in putting herbs into my food. And I want to get the proper benefits out of them. And so you're going to put on like a medium-high heat. This recipe is a little different than the one that's on the sheet. I do like that recipe better. And that one's pretty easy, the one that's on the sheet. But I could not find those crumbs, so I just used the panko today. Oh, thank you. That does help. And so you're going to let those fry about for a couple minutes on each side. The reason I don't use canola oil or vegetable oil is because it has been overly processed. It is processed in the plant about 23 times, so everything good is taken out. Canola is a seed, so it really is good for you. So if you can find pure canola oil, that's great. It's hard to find. You don't want processed canola oil. So I just use grapeseed oil because you can find it not processed. Does anyone have any questions?
Is coconut oil anything that you want to fry with?
Yes, you can. I would use that in here because I think that the breadcrumbs and the coconut oil give it a good flavor. And that's another good oil for raw or hot. But you almost have to use it hot because it hardens, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, but coconut oil is really, really good for you. It actually, some people believe that it, causes cholesterol. It hardens the arteries, but it's not true. It's not true. It actually helps fix that. Right. So that's a myth that I'm glad you asked about the coconut oil because I have so many people ask me how bad it is, and it's really, really good. And it's really good for your skin. I use coconut oil for everything for my skin.
So we can fry with coconut oil?
Yes, you can.
Fry.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yeah. It can get a little dark sometimes. Coconut, can turn dark, but it should usually be okay. You might have to replace it a little bit more than you might the grapeseed oil because it's a little bit more delicate, but it won't cause any problems, and it tastes really, really good. It'll have like an exotic flavor to it. So, yeah, I'm just frying a couple, so. Anyone have any questions about herbs or anything else that maybe something that might go good together in this? Because I just chose dill and sage because they complement each other and they're really healthy for this time of year. But most herbs are antibiotic, antibacterial. Most of them are, so ingesting those in our foods all the time is good. And plus, when I use herbs, I tend to use less salt, which is better for us. Because you want a flavor, and so that's why we over salt or over pepper things. But when I have herbs and all these flavors, I don't really want it anymore. That's why I didn't even put salt in this one. But I will salt at the end. If you salt at the beginning, you tend to overuse salt. If you salt at the end, like right now, I'll just sprinkle, I'd sprinkle a little bit, you don't have a problem. But yeah, this is the perfect oil too, if you want to fry it. And it's not too expensive. Sure. Okay, that's what I didn't get today, but I like it better. It is they're Japanese breadcrumbs, but they're very, very fine, and you can usually get them. I looked for them in like the Walmart, but you can't find them there. So you may have to go to a health food store for them. But they're just finer, and when you make them, I don't know how to explain it. It tastes so good. They just puff up a little bit, and it's just a lighter texture, and I love it. In fact, I made some when you guys came over with the tofu. Remember I put the tempura on it? Remember you really liked it. You came to me and said, I love this
tempura.
crust.
Tempura, for some reason, when you batter and fry tempura,
so
it
light.
puffs up and makes a kind of a puffy dough. If you've ever been to a Japanese restaurant, they have tempura vegetables. It's actually one of the healthiest things at a Japanese restaurant, except for the frying oil.
Right.
If you get past the frying oil, it is awfully good. They'll have fresh vegetables. At most sushi and Japanese restaurants, fresh vegetables dipped in an eggy batter that puffs up and makes almost a pastry on it, but not quite.
It is. It's just a light texture.
And it's so good.
It's a lot lighter, so it's not as many calories.
If it isn't for the oil, that'd be my favorite eating out.
And I know they don't use grapeseed oil over there.
Yeah. No, they don't.
They use like peanut oil, which is no good. But do we have anything else? I'm going to demonstrate a couple more things, but do you have any more questions about frying?
Well, you could put the paper in a plate maybe to absorb some oil.
You can, that would help. I know like people do that trick with pizza when they get it. So that does take away a lot of the calories. Right.
So these oils, the grapeseed and the coconut oil, do they resist or they are good with the heat?
Yes, these are both good high heat oils. I mean, grapeseed oil is probably better at high heat oil, but you can do it with a coconut, like light frying. Probably not as heavy, but coconut oil actually really stays for a really, really long time without having to add any chemicals to it. That's why I buy it. And I buy it at like the Indian and Asian markets because they tend to lay off the chemicals as much as us, like Americans. But so I like to go to the foreign stores because they have more pure products.
The coconut you're talking about is that white stuff in the tub, right?
Right, and it's hard, but then when you heat
hard.
it up...
Okay, I've got a comment on coconut oil.
Go ahead.
And the comment is this. They sell it at Costco now.
Good,
Great
because I use
big
it a lot.
tub at Costco. It's a huge tub. MaryEllen typically bought it from Amazon because she's a Prime customer. So she buys lots of groceries at Amazon. They deliver them to her. It wouldn't have made sense 10 years ago, but it makes sense today. She gets a good price and they ship it for free. I don't know. But anyway, now they sell it at Costco.
That's good.
So and it's a bigger container than the nice one that she frequently buys. We are trying our first Costco tub right now, and it's just as good as what she buys from the healthy market from Amazon.
That's good. I find that with Costco too, that
Yeah.
I like that. And remember, I mean, with the coconut oil, it's a good investment because it's not too expensive. And it's something that, I mean, alone, even without putting essential oils on, rubbing it on, for women or men, it doesn't matter, on your face at night, and your skin makes it so soft.
Coconut oil has a really interesting property to it. Its melting point is right below your body temperature. So it's hard in the tub, and don't ever put it in the fridge or it's like ice. And you take that, but you put it on your skin and it just melts. It's like butter on hot toast, but it's at your skin temperature. And so I don't know about putting it on your skin. She's the expert on that. But I do know this. If you don't dislike the flavor of coconut, it is an excellent substitute for butter on bread.
Yes, it is.
It melts on your bread. It gives you that little oily flavor that you really want on your bread that you're looking for from butter or margarine or any of those other products. And yet it's a completely pure natural product. And its melting temperature is below your body temperature, which a lot of people swear by.
Well, that's why they think it causes, you know, oh, it's cholesterol.
I don't necessarily
because they
agree
see
with them,
hard.
but yes.
I don't agree with it either. I've studied it.
I understand.
And so there's no way through your body, well, it's a misconception, that through your body that it would harden.
You know what she's
because
talking
your
about,
body's
right?
too warm.
There are a lot of people who believe that if you use Crisco or something else that has an oil whose melting temperature is above your body temperature, that it will get into your body and it will harden your arteries. I don't think that's true. She doesn't believe that's true. None of us believe that's true. But some people swear by it. The bottom line is the lower the melting temperature, the more it's actually oil at room temperature, which is what we really want rather than fat.
Right.
So sorry to
Myth
interrupt.
busted. Myth busted.
Myth busted. Yeah, there you go.
You can't eat it.
Is that refined or unrefined?
The
I'm talking about
coconut oil.
coconut oil.
You can buy it both ways, but unrefined is what we look for.
Raw, you know, in the raw. It may say in the raw. Anything in the raw is a little
That's what
better
you cook
for you.
with?
Yes, I do. I do. And I get it at, usually the Indian stores have better.
And they have it on Amazon. When MaryEllen gets out here, you can ask her which one she orders from Amazon. But last but not least, just know that they've got it at Costco. And
Right. But if you want to see it, if you want to try just a little one,
yeah,
get
you don't
it
want to go to
first.
Costco. It's like half gallon at
Yeah,
Costco.
see if you like it first. But
It's a
remember, you can put it
bunch.
on your face and make creams out of it, so it's really great for you.
Talking about coconut, does it get rancid?
It really doesn't. It's almost like honey, to where you can leave it on the counter and it stays for
Yeah, I've had it in the
years.
for over a year, so I was afraid it would get rancid, so I put it in the refrigerator overnight. It was like nice, I couldn't use it again.
It's like soap.
Yeah.
No, it should be fine for like at least 3 years out on the counter. It has natural, it's almost like honey, where it has natural properties that keep it strong.
In terms of herbs, are there ever herbs that are in season and out of season, like there are with produce, fruits and produce?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, in nature you'll see flowers and the flowers are growing in your area. That's why I usually order them and dry them properly, and they'll keep their health properties. But if they're not dried properly, or like I tell people when they want an herbal tea to order their own herbs or dry them. The ones in the store, when you buy like teas from the store already in the bags, they're no good. The store is allowed to keep them for 3 to 5 years on the shelf, and by that time, getting benefits from the herbs are they don't work for you anymore, and I'd be scared. So I have some of those, and the flavors, find pomegranate and stuff, they're not natural. I mean, so grow them, order them from a reliable source. There are a couple I can maybe, if I remember them, I'll tell you guys, but I grow a lot of my own and I dry them. Okay. So, anything else? I think I'm ready for my next recipe.
Good. How can I help you?
We need to
You want me
take
to carry all
these
this away?
back. Yeah, and these didn't cook long enough, so unless people want
Understood.
a crunchy.
Right.
So let me ask Sue, I think I need my next, my lasagna.
This pan is ready. I'll just take what you have.
Thank you. Yeah, just the lasagna.
Yes, we'll send you that.
Okay, let me just kind of.
Lasagna.
You guys have any more questions?
Whatever she needs to demonstrate lasagna.
Yes.
What's panko?
Panko? It is also like a Japanese style of breadcrumbs, but they're just a little bit heavier.
MaryEllen's going to use panko. You'll see in her recipe.
That's what I used, but I was trying to use tempura, but I didn't find it. So I was trying to tell them, your recipe says tempura. I like that better.
Got it. I wanted to say a special thank you to Valisa because I only told her we wanted to do this class about a week ago. And she's put all this together in a week, and I just wanted to have a special thanks to her for coming up with this extraordinary class.
I don't know, I can hold it, but you might not be able to. I have these weird hands that can hold really hot stuff. So this was fun. I actually made up this recipe this week, and I was really excited about it. And Denise said there wasn't enough cheese in it, but oh well. She's like, only a cup per, and I was like, yeah, okay. So I'm gonna get my new pot, my red pot in. Okay, it's ready. Yeah.
Like my mother, she always
I know, my hands go fine. Sorry. So you can use a deep dish pan for this part. This is the eggplant infused. I like eggplant. The reason I chose to use eggplant is because it's meaty, and some people that are missing meat from their lasagna kind of get it with eggplant because it's kind of thick and it reminds people of meat. So it'll just give that. I do need my lasagna pan and my noodles. Thank you. So, but I'm not going to use all of this, but normally you'd use, you know, for a full pan. I'm not going to have enough sauce right now, but that's okay. You just heat the sauce first, and I just use plain, organic, just tomato sauce. I'm not using the thick stuff because we're going to make ourselves a thick. And then that's going to heat up a little bit, and there's normally a little bit more, but that's okay. I also like to chop onions. I like onions cooked, but if you want to mince them, that's fine. But again, it's winter time, and so our garlics and our onions give us the health benefits during the winter.
Is this the right one?
It is. Good. Thank you. Can I do one more thing?
I'm kind of ignorant, of course.
Could you fill this with water?
Water.
Thanks. Just to give a demo. Okay. And a spatula. Okay, let's go. Where's the bees? Okay. So anyway, I'm going to do this. I have put the onions inside. The point of this is sauteing without any oil or butter. So I use I know it's hard to see, but I use the sauce. Oops, if I take it off too long, it'll turn off. To saute. So we don't have any oil, butter, anything like that in it. Can I use that? Thank you. I appreciate it.
Not at all.
I just didn't have enough of a tomato sauce to demo. You guys are getting the other one, so. So normally don't put the water in. And we're going to dump in the garlic. I'm just kind of going faster for you. Normally I wouldn't do this at this point. I'd let this really get hot with the onions first. And we are going to put in, it's a lot of spinach, but we know that spinach shrinks a lot. So let's see what I'm making.
That is a lot of spinach.
It is a lot of spinach. It's like 6 to 8 cups.
Goodness.
But it will shrink a lot. And it gives the lasagna a really good flavor too. But notice I didn't put any dry herbal ingredients. I put, it's okay. It worked.
It worked.
Wow.
Usually I'll lid this, and I have a bigger pan, but this, and eventually it'll go down. So once it does, you will put some of the sauce on the bottom to prevent sticking. So instead of spraying it with oil, the sauce will prevent it from sticking on the bottom. Just a small thin layer. You'll place your lasagna. I'm just using regular lasagna. You know, you can use spinach lasagna, wheat. Honestly, I can't stand wheat lasagna. I tried, it's just too dry for me. But, you know, I noticed like tomato and spinach. Those are really, really good. But I just so you can have something normal today. I usually set it about rows of 4. This is a good pan for this. And so pretend the sauce would be on top of there. This would be done. It won't be, but I'm just going to go. It'll go down a lot, maybe half of this. And then you're going to pour that, about a little less than half of that on top. And then I put my eggplant.
Beautiful eggplant.
I love eggplant.
I don't love it, but that's a beautiful.
You'll do eggplant.
Oh, MaryEllen loves eggplant.
Yummy.
It gets a little slimy for me.
Well, when you bake it, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's better. Especially if there's cheese on it.
1 cup.
Cheese is the
1
best
cup
friend
per.
of lasagna.
Not enough, but 1 cup. So then you'll do the cup of cheese.
Oh, that looks good.
This is reduced fat mozzarella. So like the skim, like they use skim milk instead of whole milk for the mozzarella. That reduces the calories a lot. And you know, I know we love the cheesy lasagna, but I'm only doing 1 cup per layer, which wasn't as much as I thought, but it's good. And then you're gonna keep going. Yeah, this will take a while. Sure.
I have always wanted to learn how to cook eggplant, but I always end up buying them and letting them rot, you know, in the, I don't know, little trays in the bottom of the refrigerator. But how do you pick a good eggplant?
You don't want them to be too soft or too hard, kind of right in the middle. It should be, how do I explain it? When you touch it, you don't want it to be too smushy, but you still want to be able to make an indent in it. Does that make sense? It should be a little soft to the touch, but not. Your finger shouldn't go through it.
About the 3rd time you try it, when you see that it looks like that, that's gorgeous. And that's just perfect. When you cut into it and you see it looks like that, beautiful. You
it got a little bit browner because it's been out. That's something you have to think about. When you make eggplant, chop it right before, or it'll get brown.
Do you need to use it
Anybody
right
else
away
want to
after
feel
you
this?
buy it?
See
Do
what
you
right
need to
feels
use it
like?
right away after you buy it?
It depends on what stage of softness you get it at. If it's super hard, I mean, it's kind of like an avocado. If it's super hard, you know, the avocado, you have to let it go for a little while.
And as a nutritionist, have you found that the cooking sprays that you spray around, are they carcinogens or something?
Yeah, they are.
But there's a
Use
good
your
news.
hand, but don't buy the olive oil if you're doing high.
But there's good news. You can buy a sprayer that you fill with grapeseed.
Well, you can buy the pump.
can
Pump's a
buy
little
the
better
pump.
than the base.
You can buy your own mister and put whatever oil in it you want.
Right. So buying them in that aerosol can is not so good for you. Thank you for remembering something. Sometimes I do teach, but
I am not trying to interrupt you.
No. It helps. You have good questions.
They sell them at Bed Bath & Beyond. They sell them certainly at Williams-Sonoma.
The dollar store has coupons.
They do. Dollar store, that would be a better place.
I like to. I'm like, dollar store, $1. Put whatever you want in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make infused oils with those. Like I put rosemary in my olive oil,
No, I never
you
do
know,
that.
in the pump or you know whatever, and then spray it or use it. And you can have a bunch of them with the dollar store. You can have a whole big row of them with a bunch of different flavors, herbal flavors. So that would be good.
Well, I'm glad you got us off of Williams-Sonoma.
That's too much for me. Do that.
You can spend $30 or what? Your choice.
I'd rather go to the one.
Thank you.
This is still going down, but anyway, as it says on the paper, you'll continue to layer. I get about usually 3 layers per pan. Once we get to the top, I'll put more of this mixture on.
Looking down like crazy.
It is, but if I had my lid, which is over there, it would go down faster.
Sue's looking for it.
It's right there on the... Okay, anyway. I tried to leave them covered there. But, so anyway, this will go through. It's really, really pretty, and you'll try it. I had to bring the one I made from home. It was half done and bring it here, so I hope it's still good. It's kind of hard to transport. I appreciate it. That will make the spinach go down a little bit faster. Yeah, you'll see that you saw it overflowing. And in a minute, yeah, that'll help. I'll try to show you what it looks like in a second.
Smells good.
But normally it would have more tomato sauce, but we had to need some emergency tomato sauce there. Do you have any more questions about any of the
There's
foods?
one.
Do you want to pre-cook the lasagna noodles or put them in there raw?
You can buy the ones.
Or, I mean, do you want to get them softened before you boil them?
You don't have to. There are some, have you seen this? There are brands or types that you can buy that you don't have to do that anymore. Kind of cool. Is that a baked one? I think you have. You're supposed to do that.
We never do.
You never do what? You never
Boil them first.
As long as you put as long as it has a lot of liquid and you put a seal over it, you're usually okay.
Don't need a boil.
So normally it look a little more. I'm gonna show you.
Wow, that cooked down fast now.
I'll see if I can
You have
show
to hold
you.
it so they can see it because they can't see it.
I'm going to. I'm just trying to get it down a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yes, normally it would be a little more orange business, but I'm going to try to show you guys.
Everybody look quick while she got her hands burning.
Oh, yeah.
It reduced
That's amazing.
a lot. So that will kind of give you the, and then again, salt and pepper at the end. I don't usually salt and pepper till my dish comes out because there's no point. You'll just use too much. So we kind of just layer this. And like I said, there would normally be more orange in there. But I thought it looked pretty and kind of meaty
Yeah.
with the, right? And then we'll go back in.
Sorry, I robbed one of those.
Salt it.
I stole one of your eggs. I hope you're not one short.
I'm fine.
Okay.
So anyway, so at the top you will go.
How many days are going to serve?
This pan. I don't know, how hungry are you?
I'd say 8.
3 by 4 maybe?
Yeah, I think you got 3 across there.
Anyway.
Somewhere between 8 and 12. Depends on who you got to dinner. If you've got some teenage boys, 3.
Or 1 pan per boy.
Yeah, 1 pan per boy.
Anyway, so I'd finish it on the top with this. I'm going to make a mess.
And you're okay making it that high, it'll cook down. In this pan here.
No, I added another layer because it actually cooked down and I wanted to show them. No, normally there'd be 3.
You wouldn't go above the edge of the pan?
I normally wouldn't,
Okay.
no. But this pan is a little smaller than what I'm used to, so. Anyway, so you kind of put the rest of that on there, sprinkle the rest of your cheese, and put foil over it. And that should
Yeah, not with the foil.
soften.
What do y'all think?
Good. Does it smell good? Can you smell it?
Yeah,
Get to the back.
Can you smell the
I don't like egg.
onions
They're
and garlic?
eating it, so
Are they eating it right
they're
now?
already eating it.
Is it soft?
And I thought it was delicious.
So
Is
there's
it
no
good?
salt in there, just
I didn't put
garlic, is there all flavor?
Yes, I use garlic and onions for flavor.
No salt, no salt.
No, I might put some on the top. You know, I wait till the end. I like to salt myself because we will over salt if we, think about it. In the restaurant, they put salt on, and then you put more salt on, and you don't realize how much salt you've had.
Would you say it's better to use pepper than the sodium and salt? Some people don't use any salt, they use a little bit of pepper.
I like salt better than pepper.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as your health, the sodium is not that good. They say pepper is better for you.
It's better to go with the sea salt.
Yeah.
I have a really pretty pink Mediterranean sea salt I found at Sprouts, and it's beautiful. And I use that, and it has more minerals in it.
You
So
get it at Whole Foods too.
do they? Okay. I can afford Whole Foods. But I don't go there much. I'm a Sprouts girl. But yeah, so I know they have that in the bulk area.
Has less sodium than the regular salt?
There's less sodium if it comes, straight from the sea. There's the sea, and they're not skimming it and taking out the, by the time we get the white salt, the little, our sandy white
Our
salt.
eyes and everything.
That's not good for you, which we thought in like the 70s and the 80s that was good for you, but it's not. All the minerals are taken out, and sometimes they bleach it. And we know bleach is not really something we want to take in. So
Most of the salt in the United States is mined. If you buy it in the tub, in the cylinder, it's mined. It comes out of the ground. So sea salt is a distinctly different product.
it is. Mostly it's from the ocean. You can find Hawaiian sea salt, California sea salt, and it's
Kosher.
pretty. They're all beautiful.
I've seen kosher cases.
Why? But why?
We need things from the sea. I mean, I know you guys might not like seaweed, but it's really, really good for you. And it's something we don't get here. You know, I mean, on the land, it's a mineral, there's a mineral missing for us that is really, really good, especially for athletes, that they don't get. So buying things from the, you know, getting things out of the ocean is really good for you.
What do you use for a salt substitute for, say, beans?
Beans,
Like cooking beans?
Sea salt.
I use sea salt. There are a couple, you know, have you seen, oh, well, you can buy salts that are sea salt mixed with, what is the name? Kind of what I was talking about, the plants in the ocean. And they're salty because they come out of the ocean if they don't mess with them. And so they blend them, or you can buy that and blend, like, you know, buy it and blend them together. And I've used that as sea salt. And you can't taste the, sometimes people are like, that's a fishy flavor. But when you mix it with your sea salt and you use it, you're getting your extra mineral benefits from it. So.
Is that kale? Is that what you call kale?
Yes, in a way, if you can get it dried, seaweed, kelp, you can get it dried. Yeah.
We could make a new recipe, seaweed lasagna.
I do.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
I like seaweed on sushi. Vegetarian sushi. I love it.
Vanessa, tell us about Dash. Is that any good for us?
What?
Dash.
Mrs. Dash, the product, is a salt
The
substitute.
only thing,
Are you done
yeah,
with it?
I am.
Okay, thank you. I'll take care of it.
It is good for you. There are a lot of herbs in there. There's no salt in it. The only thing I would be concerned about are how old the herbs are inside of it. Because when they're packaged in containers in the grocery store, like like with the teas that are already packaged, they can leave it there for 5 years and it's okay. It's okay. I'm so sorry.
I know this is off the topic of your recipes, but you talking about the mentioning packaged teas. So you're recommending loose teas?
Yes. I mean, I know I have been to Whole Foods and I don't see as many loose teas, but I do go to Sprouts a lot, or I do order online, but I do this for a living. You know, I make people like medicine out of herbs, so I order in bulk. But Sprouts does have a bulk area, and they have a lot of new things now. I go to the one in Plano. I'm not sure about the one in Frisco, but they have a lot of new stuff now that's really good, and you can just get it by the ounce and see how you like, to blend it. But they have, I keep up with them and see how often they get shipments in, and they keep theirs very fresh. No longer than I think a couple weeks will they keep it on the shelf, and they have a good tracker and they move it out. So I do like that.
So if you purchase that, what is the shelf life in your own home?
Okay. The bags are clear, so if you can move them to a darker bag. A brown sack works really well because you don't want sunlight hitting it. For me, I just leave them in the bags and I stick them under my cap. And that's good for about 6 months, as long as they stay out of the lights. They should. It's not hot, so you're perfect. The only thing that they need to bring me is the egg beater. I'm gonna, hopefully this is warm. I'm going to make cheesecake now in a pan.
Seeing the assistants come out.
No! My egg beater, the electrical egg beater, it was with my other stuff. They don't know what an egg beater is. Okay. That's cute. This is my daughter. She has to. I'm sorry. Just a small one. I'm just gonna sample. Just like my pan. Okay, I will start with the inside. What I did was I used 3 cream cheese blobs, and they're the reduced fat. So usually that means with milk products they'll use skim milk instead of whole milk, so it'll be a little bit better for you. Less cholesterol. So that's where we reduced with the cream cheese. I don't know if you guys know the Cooper Center, Cooper Clinic. Yes. I took many classes through them. And something that the doctors, because everyone who taught me was a doctor, but they advised to their heart patients was Benecol. And I looked at it, it's pretty good. There is some vegetable oil, but it's not the processed vegetable oil, and they do make it taste like butter, and the cholesterol is 0. So it really does taste like butter. But I have used this. I was a personal trainer, and I did use this with a lot of my clients who did have heart health issues. It's really good. I've really checked it out, and I had like 18 doctors, advise this. So at the Cooper Clinic. So this is something I'm going to put in, and it reduces the calories. Instead of using butter. Actually, that doesn't go in there. So anyway, I want to talk about that. For my crumbs, instead of using graham crackers, I used ginger snap, which I like, and I like ginger. So I thought it would be fun to do something different, give it kind of a little bit of a spicy flavor. It's not hot, but spicy, something different. And I love ginger snap. And for some reason, I got a organic ginger snap cookie and kind of smashed it. But there was a little bit of fat, but no cholesterol in this. So this is almost like a little bit more of a cholesterol reduced recipe. So this will make it taste really good. Instead of sugar, I used agave syrup. Have you guys heard of that? I can't really pour this, but have you guys heard of agave syrup? Yeah, you do? It's a good sweetener. And it's also good for, if you have diabetes, this is something you'd want to use instead of sugar. So I'm going to pour, actually I don't need to put that in yet. I wanted to talk to you about a couple special things. Of course, this is the sea salt. I don't use this much, but I'll just use a dash. Sometimes it brings out certain flavors in your food. This is sour cream, and I also use like the skim reduced fat sour cream. And again, I put herbs in everything that I use because I like to make my things taste different. So this is cinnamon. So I used about 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, which is good because when you're eating something like cheesecake and it's really heavy and it's hard to digest sometimes. And cinnamon is very good, and ginger, which I'm using, for digesting. So this is just something that's going to help everything kind of go down. It won't make you go to the bathroom, but it'll help that thick, creamy, that richness. Sometimes people get heartburn after eating something like that. These should reduce that. Plus, I think the flavors are really good together, and I use ginger snap, so I thought it would be fun to do that. This is vanilla. I only use pure vanilla. Some people look for vanilla that doesn't have alcohol in it. Some vanilla is cured in alcohol because alcohol brings out, when they put the vanilla pods inside, alcohol brings out the vanilla flavor. But you can blend it without alcohol if that's something that you care about. It's not enough to really hurt you. But anyway, that's something you can think about. Oh, just a regular mixing spoon. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to make some noise. And with this recipe, first we're going to, hopefully the cream cheese is warm enough. And this is not very good thing. So I'm going to turn this on. It doesn't want, it's still too warm. I mean, too cold. too hard. But anyway. Okay. Well, we'll just put everything in there. Let's do this first. I don't think we're gonna need as many crumbs. Yeah. I know, I might have to do that. So I'm going to put the crumbs. You can see the difference in the color. It's so pretty. I'm going to use, this should be 1/4 cup of the Benacol. And you're going to kind of just combine it. Normally with the butter, I will melt it completely. And it's just a little bit easier to make your, okay, I'm going to use my fingers now, and you guys aren't going to eat this. You'll be okay. But I'm clean.
Does Walmart do Benacol?
They do have it. They do have it. So I would advise it for people who just really love butter, you know. Just to reduce that. I think MaryEllen might use something different. There's another butter that or type of butter I use, but I think she's using it. I want her to talk about it because it's really, really good. Okay, so anyway, it wasn't melted enough, but you'll press this in the pan, and it'll make a crust. And then I will just pour things in and pretend. But normally, so what you do is you get your cream cheese very creamy. Oh, okay, thank you. I keep forgetting about it. Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's all right, but I like getting dirty. So we're going to put our 2 eggs in after it was already creamy. Then you will, and I reduced it. Most recipes call for 3 eggs. Oops. And I try to make it so I could use 2, a lot less. Then you will cream that again, and then everything else will go in. So you'll cream it 3 times. So then you'll put your agave. So did you guys like it?
Yeah.
Was it still sweet but good without the sugar? It was okay without using sugar. It's just a lighter flavor. I love it. And then again, we have a teaspoon or half a teaspoon of vanilla. And then sour cream, which is the reduced fat. I put an 1/8 teaspoon of ginger. I like more, but I didn't think you guys liked it as much as I do. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. And then I put just a pinch of sea salt. Just a little bit, just to bring out the flavor. And then you will cream all of that. I appreciate it, but it's okay. I want to put on my pants. Then you'll, anyway, it's still too hard, but you'll cream all of that again. Pour this over your crust. And it can come up over the crust, that's okay. I think that one did. And then you bake at 400 for, I'm trying to remember, 10 minutes? 450 for 10 minutes? And that just sets it. Right, and then you'll reduce to 200, right, for an hour. And that, because you want that initial setting to set the cream cheese, and then the rest, you know, the rest of the time you want to just bake it. And then you leave, I know it's funny, but you'll leave it in your oven for an additional hour if you have time, with no temperature. Just turn it off, leave it in there for an additional hour, and it really just makes it set really well. And then I usually can get away with putting it for 2 hours in the fridge, but you may need to do more depending on how thick. If it's thick, you know, tall, you'll need more time. And I think that's it. Sorry. But do you guys have any more questions? This is the end of me. So if you need to ask me anything, sorry, but well, yeah, it's good. I'll make it back there. You'll hear me. Do you guys have any more questions for me? Any herbal questions or food questions? If not, MaryEllen's coming out next. Are you guys good?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I introduced Valisa. I got to introduce this one too. I know her a long time. This is MaryEllen Winegardner. She is a friend of mine from a long time back. And we've been married for 26, 7 years, something like that. I don't remember. And she came into the marriage at age 20, knowing how to cook some. But she has been a faithful student for 26 years. And she has become rather an expert. She doesn't have, I mean, she's not a certified herbalist or anything, but she does have a lot of expertise and a lot of experience and a lot of experience gained from reading, studying, and from asking her sister, who's one of the finest vegan chefs you'll ever meet, but you won't meet her. Her son was here a minute ago, but he's gone now. And she lives a cloistered life and hides down in this valley. And okay, go ahead.
Tell him to be quiet sometimes. Okay, first I just want to say just a little bit about being vegan. I am not 100% vegan. My sister became vegan back when no one had ever heard of vegan. And so I was always very resistant. I don't want to hear about it. I love cheese. I love ice cream. I don't want to hear about it. But then when one of my daughters was about 4, she started having double ear infections about every month. I went to doctor after doctor. No one could tell me what to do. Just give her antibiotics. Then she started not being able to walk. And she would fall down, and they thought she had rheumatoid arthritis. And so I said, wow, okay, call my sister, what do I do? So that began my journey. We found out she was allergic to dairy, she was allergic to eggs, she was allergic to cheese, she was allergic to wheat, she was allergic to corn, which is everything we ate. So I had to start learning to cook with spelt, which I never heard of, you know, all these different choices. As she's grown up, she's not as allergic, so that, not having that there, it's much easier to not cook in a hard way. So I'm not there where I used to be. But tonight I just want to show you some of the ways to change a recipe, because I am not someone who loves all the vegan products that there are. And so my own thing on veganism is, instead of trying to copy the cheesy lasagna, make it different and make it palatable, make it tasty. Okay, so I will never get used to the texture of vegan cheese. I put it on the very top of my lasagna. I don't love it, so I'm just getting that out of the way because it doesn't taste the same. So for me, I'd rather have a pizza where I put tons of things on it and skip the cheese, because my mother and sister put the vegan cheese. It just isn't good to me. So I'm getting that out of the way to tell you that first. But to change a recipe like the zucchini, basically, I wasn't out here to see what Valisa did, but basically just making it quite thin. And then here's a product that my mother actually grew up using even long before there was something called vegan. She hated eggs. So in my family, we never had eggs. So this was her answer. She hated the smell, she hated the look. So I got used to this product. It's called Energy Egg Replacer. I use it for a lot of things. And there are other egg replacers like flaxseed that I can tell you about. Egg replacer is what we're going to use to dredge it in. So basically, this you can get anywhere at Whole Foods, Market Street, any health food store, and it's very easy to use. If I'm doing something like this is the best product. If you're making cookies or cakes, I use flaxseed, and I can tell you how to make. I make it up ahead in the refrigerator. It's 1 cup of flaxseed to 4 cups of water. You whiz it in the blender, you put it in a jar, and I just keep it in the fridge. Anytime I'm going to make a cake, cookies, you take it out and you use 1/4 of a cup, and it's an egg. You can't tell a difference. You're saving the cholesterol, you're saving, you know, whatever is inside of it that we don't know anymore, diseases or whatever. Plus, it's flaxseed, which gives you the omega-3s. So my family calls it brain food because it's good for your brain. So they think it's really gross, but it works. So, okay, so you take the egg replacer, and it's you can come look at the ingredients. It's basically a potato and tapioca starch. is what it is. But if you want to dredge anything to what I would call pretend fry, you basically would measure, but I don't, so you have the measurements down there. You take the powder and you add a little bit of water and just stir it around, and it gets thicker as you do it. So if you can see this, it's kind of, someone walked by and said, you're making glue, like we did as kids. And that's basically what it is. It's a binder. So you make this, and the longer it sits, the thicker it gets. So you may need to water it down according to what consistency you want. So this, you just make it into something that you're going to be able to help the crumbs stick on it. I'm using panko breadcrumbs. If you're very healthy, I've learned through my sister there are levels of health, and I'm way at the bottom. And for example, my sister wouldn't use this because it has white flour. There are other options. If you don't want to use white flour, you can use cornmeal or something like that. But for us today, I'm using panko breadcrumbs. Has anyone ever used panko breadcrumbs?
I have.
They're good because they're kind of thicker than a breadcrumb. So all of you know how to dredge. You just take it, get it on each side of it. It's not an exact science. And then just dip it until it's covered. And obviously spray your pan. Now, we didn't have sauce tonight. It's much better in sauce. I made at home a marinara and another kind of sauce that was kind of sweet and spicy, and that's much better that way. But basically just put it in the panko breadcrumbs and just fill the pan. So basically, obviously it's not like a cookie that's going to grow. I'm sorry to be basic, but you're just going to put it and line it up. All of you know how to do this, but I'm telling you every step. So basically you put it in the oven, a 400-degree oven, for about 20 minutes. Then I go through and just flip it with my finger. You can use a spatula. And flip them over for about 5 more minutes, and then you're done. So basically you went from something that's fried that, you know, has so much fat and calories to something that my kids, I've never made this before, so they were surrounded eating one after another, and people who will not eat zucchini in my house suddenly ate cans of it like that. So, did everyone get some?
They were cold when we got them, so it's not as good cold. If you got those right out of the oven and dipped them in marinara or the Awesome Blossom sauce.
And as you can see, there's like no calories. You have zucchini, the panko breadcrumbs add just a few calories, and this adds like nothing. So it's very, for a party, they're like no calories. So really good. Good. Excellent.
And no fat at all. Go ahead, question over here.
Oh, you can put any spices you want. I just put garlic powder and salt in the panko breadcrumb. So it should be on there. Oh, yeah. Yes. You can put any kind of spice you wanted, yes?
How many is it for the 59 calories? The whole thing?
How many was the serving, James? He figured all my serving.
We figured 3 zucchinis for 4 people. So, you know, obviously the thinner you cut them, the more breadcrumbs, which is where the calories are, that you're going to get. There's not much calorie in a zucchini. So the calories come from the breadcrumbs. So the thicker you slice it, the more zucchini you have, the less calories. The thinner you slice it, the more breadcrumbs you have, and the better it tastes.
Right. It's better if you slice it thin than thick because it cooks, you know, it bakes faster and it's crunchier. If you get it too thick, some of these may be too thick, then it's kind of more gooey. So if you do it really about 1/8 of an inch, they get crispy and then they're really delicious.
And I don't want to interrupt, but the bottom line is that if you pull them out and eat them off the tray, and you know what I mean, they're hot and they're really, really crispy because these cooled down and they weren't as crispy. When they come out of the oven, those things are crispy, and to me, crispy means Lovely. I love that texture. And so when we were eating them out of the oven, when she was making up the recipe, when we were eating them out of the oven, they were hot, they were crispy, and you put a good sauce on them, and it really wouldn't matter what was inside because it was just really good.
Have any of y'all used sriracha? Do y'all know what sriracha is? Sriracha is a who likes spicy? My family likes spicy. Sriracha is a very spicy. I think it's from Vietnam or Thailand.
Asian.
Asian. You find it in the Asian section. It's called sriracha. S-I-R-A-C-H-A. Very spicy and red.
If you go to the pho restaurant, it's the hot sauce that's in the deal with a little nipple on top that it's red.
So I just got ketchup and put sriracha in it, mixed it up, and served it with those to dip in. And they thought that was like, wow, gourmet. Those two ingredients. But I told you that to tell you that's really good with the zucchini.
You said ketchup. Did you mean mayonnaise? Ketchup?
It looks like potato chips.
Yes.
And healthier than potato chips, by far.
Moving on to lasagna, I debated what kind of lasagna to make because we can have super healthy lasagna with spinach and vegetables in it, which give you more fiber, which is the key. Everyone needs more fiber. So anything you can put in your food that has fiber is helpful. But then my kids convinced me that I should just make a redo of a basic lasagna that you would eat out somewhere, a meat lasagna. So that's what I'm showing right now. But just to tell you, obviously you can add spinach or any vegetables that y'all like to the recipe. I'm sure some of y'all have seen this or used this before. I'm using boca crumbles tonight that are vegan, and you can easily use that product if you're trying to move away from meat. If you don't want to use this for some reason because of the soy, or if your kids are allergic or you're allergic to something in it, I'm going to show you something else you can use instead.
Pop quiz. What famous politician got turned on to Boca Burgers when he had his heart attack? Bill Clinton, that's right. And he was a big proponent of Boca.
Actually, I was just reading up on veganism to have some statistics, which I promptly forgot, but what I noticed was that Bill Clinton has totally reversed his heart disease, totally. The doctor says there's no disease left, and it's just from changing to a vegan diet. So if you are having diabetes, heart disease, anything, autoimmune diseases, changing to a vegan diet that is plant-based will change that. If you go to a vegan diet and most of your cooking is products in a bag, it probably is not going to change your disease. If you go to a plant-based diet, have you all heard of Engine 2 diet? It was one of the famous ones lately. If you write it down, Engine number 2, or forks over knives. Have you all heard of that? Those are the two big things right now that are proponents of a vegan diet and how it reverses disease. So if you look up either of those, they'll be, every bookstore has them. They have recipes, but they are proponents of a plant-based diet, which means eating more legumes and rice and all that. But tonight I'm just going to do a redo of a regular meat lasagna. And to make it quicker, instead of doing a marinara, I'm just going to do a tomato sauce. So for this recipe, it was a 9 by 13, just a big 9 by 13. And it took 2 cans and a small can. So I just brought those to show you. It's kind of weird. That was just the right amount of sauce. So I'm going to put that in here. And I don't know about y'all, if you make lasagna, a lot of people put ricotta and a lot of people put cottage cheese. My mother always put cottage cheese, so I found a way to make it kind of look like cottage cheese, even though it doesn't have that little wang that cottage cheese has.
Here you go.
I'm still making this. For once, I have my own knife available. Sorry. Has anyone used tofu before? Okay. You will hear a lot of people tell you how horrible soy is. So all I'm going to say on that is do your own research. There will be an equal amount who say it's horrible as the ones who say it's the wonder drug. It's neither, in my opinion, but you need to do your own research about it. I'm using an extra firm tofu. You can get it at Walmart or any place you go.
They even have it flavored.
Yes, they do. And you can buy it in cubes and all that kind of thing. As I understand the soy debate, one of the main issues they have is that it's too processed. So when you get something, a soybean, and make it into this, it has gone through a lot of processes and distillation to make this. So this is a much simpler, easier on your body. It has no flavor whatsoever. So if you can properly season it, it can be used to do these kind of things. So basically you take a mixer at home. I would probably do this with my hands, but I'm going to do it the right way here. It comes with water on it, so you'll need to pour off the water and then put it into the mixer. And you do not want to make like cake batter out of it. You just want to make a little bit of a crumbly mixture. I have to borrow this KitchenAid because mine's still in Granbury. So first I put a block of tofu in, and then about a tablespoon of olive oil. If you're watching your fat, you don't have to put that much. And basil. There are a lot of ingredients you could use on this. I try to make it as simple as possible just to be able to, if I see a recipe and it has 29 ingredients, I'm like, next, I don't have time for that. So I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. I put about a tablespoon of dried basil. You could use fresh if you wanted to. And you could use garlic cloves, but I'm just using garlic powder. And then you just want to make it into what looks like cottage cheese. It'll never fool you for cottage cheese, but it'll be similar. How to use her mixer here. Where's it going to be?
Genevieve right there.
I'll just spoon it in.
What do you need?
I just want to show you the texture. It's just a little bit crumbly, like similar to a cottage cheese. You could make it a lot creamier by adding more oil or some milk, but basically that's what we're going to do for this.
How did it taste?
Delicious.
Well, he does that. The good thing about vegetarian burger, you don't have to do anything to it. It's ready. So basically you just pour that in. And then you pour in the pseudo cottage cheese. And I do this on the stove usually, and I'm not sure why, except I grew up watching my mother make lasagna and doing her sauce over the stove. If you're not cooking your marinara or something from scratch and you're doing it like this, you could just do it in a pan. But you're going to do that. In this recipe, I added olives simply because I wanted to show you that if you do not want to use the vegetarian burger, either you're allergic to soy, you don't believe in it, or you don't want something that's processed, I got chopped olives in the little cans. And I found that if I added the chopped olives and I chopped up mushrooms really small, and then I also chopped up walnuts really tiny. When I did all those three, Jamie said this is very close to meat lasagna to me. and he's a hard sell, so I'm putting in 2 cans of chopped olives.
She should be very glad that somebody in the house eats meat so I can compare, you know.
You have a hard life.
It's a hard life. I've eaten more lasagna this week than you've eaten in a half a year.
I always make my own lasagna. I've never measured or anything, so when they want a recipe, I'm like, wow, how do I do that? So I pour in what I usually do, basil, and then try to figure out how much it was. So, I'm not put the walnuts in, but basically you could pulverize them in a food processor or whatever and put them in there if you wanted to. It's just a healthier way because it has, this will not have the fiber that olives, mushrooms, and walnuts will have.
Is Boca Burger better than Morningstar Punch?
Boca Burger is the only one besides the Trader Joe's. Have you all been to Trader Joe's yet? Awesome stores. Those are the only 2 I found that are vegan. Morningstar Farm and Corn and all those others all have egg whites in them. So it depends. At a time when my daughter couldn't have it, I didn't use any of the Morningstar Farm products. But you have to look for the vegan label or check. The quickest way is when you look at a label, look at the bottom. With Lily having a peanut allergy, I immediately look at the bottom and it'll say the allergy information, soy, wheat, peanuts, and then I know I can't buy it. But it will tell you eggs, and so you can immediately know if it has eggs in it. So basically, I know y'all can't see that, but here's the sauce. And I don't want to be condescending. I'm sure most of you have made lasagna, so I apologize in advance. I'm just going to show you quickly how to put it together. When I was first married, I called my mother and I said, I have the spaghetti here, but how do you get it wet? My mother's like, we need to talk. A lot of water. Well, how do you do that? So, I'm being basic for that reason. Take a pan. This is a smaller pan than I use, but just to make it easy to demonstrate. You take a couple ladles of your sauce and put in the bottom of the pan so that the noodle won't just crisp up, or basically because my mother told me to. Put it on the bottom of the pan. And my mother always boiled the noodles, and I have found every brand I've ever used don't boil the noodles. You don't have to. So it saves a huge step. And you always burn your fingers while you're doing it. But any size pan, just break it to make it fit and make a layer.
And you also have a variation of this that you do in the crock pot, right?
Right. You can do this in the crock pot, which is very quick. Basically, cover the bottom. Tell me if everyone knows how to do this and I'll skip it, but cover the noodles and then just layer the sauce again and spread it around till it's covered. And you need at least 4 layers of noodles, I've found, to make it not seem like you're missing something.
Can I say something? When my mother would make any kind of Italian dish, well, almost any dish she made. Are we on video? She started with a pot, and she would put a big dollop of Crisco. You got to start with Crisco, right? And then she would have to cook some meat down into that, right? And then she would start anything like this after she cooked the meat down. Well, that requires a step that you just saw skip. She didn't have to do this in a pan. She can do this in a bowl, because there's nothing that eating it raw would hurt you a bit. So everything she did here is completely, you can eat it just the way it is until you get to the noodles. And the noodles, they have to be softened over time. Other than that, I mean, everything she makes, I mean, cookie dough. Anybody ever afraid of eating cookie dough because of the raw eggs in it? You should be. Salmonella. Salmonella. Say it with me. Salmonella. So her cookie dough is always edible because it doesn't have any of that in it. And it's good for you, just as good uncooked as it is cooked. Sorry.
This is, did I show you the cheese already? I'm using Daya dairy-free cheese, and they have several flavors. Again, if you're a cheese connoisseur, which Jamie and Megan especially love specialty cheeses, This is nowhere on the same planet, just being honest. So, but you can add this to give a little bit of cheesiness, but basically now I don't think of lasagna as cheesy, I think of it as flavorful. And you have to switch something in your brain to not expect the gooey cheese coming off of it. But this is Diet mozzarella, and I just put a tiny bit and then continue because it's not going to be a cheesy item. So.
And you just need to ask yourself, you just tasted it. I mean, it wasn't cheesy, right? There was nothing cheesy about it, but it was still hearty and satisfying. And that's what we're looking for, is hearty and satisfying without all those cheese problems.
And does anyone know why dairy isn't the best for you? You all heard a lot of the media. Everything that's in it. You can start with the fact that it is meant to take a calf in 1 year from a baby out of the mother to 1 year weighing 1,000 pounds. So basically it's hugely high in fat, and it's meant to be for a cow. And you know, over time they've told us how healthy it is for us, and if you look at the research, it's beginning to show more and more that we have more problems with osteoporosis. We have more issues because of the dairy. And if you look at, try to get the video Forks Over Knives, that was a really convincing video, because he's a cardiologist and has all the statistics, which I don't know about.
And that is on Netflix, if
It
you
is.
have Netflix.
And we have copies that we can share if anyone wants for it. For me personally, I grew up with a Seventh-day Adventist diet. At that time was all casseroles. So my food groups, looking back, were wheat, dairy, and sugar. If you think about it, what are our casseroles? Cheese, ricotta cheese, cottage cheese, and then there's eggs to bind it together, and then there's wheat because there's a bread or something to go with it. And so all those items are mucus making and have shown to cause issues. I had sore throats all the time my growing up days. As soon as I started changing our diet, suddenly I didn't have sore throats as often. Then I didn't have, just my ears would stop up. All those things went away when I cut out dairy. Now, I don't do it 100%, but I can tell you as soon as I eat some ice cream, I can feel my ears start plugging up. And that could just be me being a sensitivity, but everyone has to figure that out. So I'm not going to go through all of it. Basically, you do the 4 layers. I put it in the oven for an hour for a big one. About 10 minutes beforehand, I cover it with foil and put a little cheese on top because it's not going to melt and get gooey like real cheese. And so that's the lasagna. Did it already, everyone already?
Everybody's eating.
Okay.
It's all gone.
Does anyone have any questions about it? Actually, it's in everything. If you look, I can.
Spinach.
Spinach actually has almost as much as dairy.
And look at the studies. There's a really interesting study out there that says that pasteurized milk actually robs your body of calcium. It doesn't supply your body calcium. The reason that milk is such a large part of our diet in America is because of your government. Your government is owned by the milk and beef lobby, and they want you to buy it. The Got Milk campaign, guess who pays for that? Tax dollars. That whole thing is a government-sponsored milk largesse. The government wants you to drink milk to keep dairy makers in business. Did you know that America, United States of America, is about the only country where you can't buy, what? Powdered whole milk. It's illegal now. You can still find it these days at some foreign stores, but it's been illegal for years in the country to buy powdered whole milk. Why? Because the government is interested in milk spoiling in your fridge. They want you to buy more milk because the milk industry has a lot of control of Congress. And so all this milk stuff is a put-up. Read the literature, read the research. Milk is bad for you. There is nothing good about pasteurized milk. Now, a lot of people say, well, I grew up on a farm and we drank milk right out of the cow. Okay, you may have. You may have, and if you were working real hard to work off all the fat in that milk you drank right out of the cow, then you're okay. But we sedentary Americans do not need to be drinking pasteurized milk, period. Yeah.
When I grew up, they never fed all the antibiotics and stuff to the cows.
That's true,
and stuff like that, which they do today.
That's true too.
And the growth hormone.
The reason why that milk leads to osteoporosis is because it's high in calcium and it's high in protein. A woman only needs 45 grams of protein a day, a man 55. If you exceed your protein requirements, your body is going to get rid of the excess protein. And as it gets rid of the excess protein, it leaches calcium with it. So that is why you end up with a calcium deficit from drinking cow's milk, because most of us exceed our protein requirements unless we're really counting how much protein we're getting. Because there's protein in everything, and there's calcium in everything. So when we drink the dairy products, we not only have all the mucus stuff, but we are in a calcium deficit at the end of the day. And that's why we get the osteoporosis.
What about almond milk and goat's milk?
Well, they all have calcium in them.
But I mean, if goat's milk, is that the same as drinking cow's milk?
Well, it is in the fact that it's got protein and it's got calcium.
What about almond milk?
Almonds has less protein, so you're not going to run into that deficit. So,
But have you heard about the war on unpasteurized milk?
Yes.
You just keep your eye on the news and you'll see they're forever arresting people for trying to sell raw milk. They don't want you selling raw milk at all. There are people all over the East Coast that are trying to sell this trendy raw milk, and if they cross a state line or they cross a county line, they'll arrest them. It's just craziness.
I don't know about all those. She's a nurse too, and I just know that for me, and you have to test it yourself, go off dairy for a week and see if you feel different. If you don't, then forget about it. If you feel better, then there may be something to you, because if you look at milk allergies or milk sensitivity, Google it and you'll see the percentages are huge. If you eat ice cream or something, you feel scratchy throated or whatever, those are signs of sensitivity. And for my family, that's better for us. And I'm not here to preach what you should do, but test it is what I would suggest. This is for the cheesecake. Again, it's not ever going to be the kind of cheesecake that you get at the Cheesecake Factory. So if you put that out of your mind and think this is a light dessert, then it'll taste better to you. I got 2 different kinds of vegan cream cheese at Whole Foods. They have 2 different brands now, which is a big deal because they didn't used to have any. So basically you put it in the food processor, the KitchenAid or whatever you have. You could do it by hand if you wanted to. So just put that in there. I'm cheating and I bought a graham cracker crust at Whole Foods that is vegan. You can make it yourself. And I hadn't done that in a few years, so I decided, well, I'll do this right. And then I quickly went and bought a graham cracker crust. Because I did not have the time to put it in the Ziploc bag and roll it out, and it was all lumpy, and so I cheated, so forgive me. So just have the crust ready, and okay, pretend that I put a lemon inside this. He always has his knife. Okay, so you put the lemon in it. My family did not like too much lemons. If it were me, I would put more lemon. They only liked it with one. And then vanilla, a really good vanilla, not imitation, something vanilla. And if y'all don't have one of these, this is my favorite tool in the kitchen. Because you can squeeze your lemon and it won't get seeds in it. So just put that up. And again, we're going to use this egg replacer. So if you ever buy the egg replacer, it has a measurement on the side. I'm not taking the time to measure it out right now. I know you all are tired of this probably. So it has a measurement, and it's basically 1.5 teaspoons for 2 tablespoons of water. In this recipe, I think, I don't have one in front of me, is it 4 tablespoons? But just basically putting that, and that will bind it together. In this instance, I would not use the flaxseed egg replacer because it won't taste right at all. But you pour that in it and whip it up and put it in the graham cracker crust, put it in the oven, and I think it was, what, 30 minutes? 30 minutes. Let it sit for a few minutes to settle, and then you're done. So it's a very simple dessert. Again, don't think Cheesecake Factory, think just a different kind of dessert that we'll call cheesecake. So that would make it a little better. So I guess that concludes our
demonstration. Did everybody taste it? What did you think? Now, you can see how the fruit adds a little there, doesn't it? The fruit makes it a little sweeter because it isn't that sweet. Neither was Valisa's. You know, cheesecake is designed to not be excessively sweet unless you go to the Cheesecake Factory, in which case it's really, really sweet. But cheesecake is supposed to be a not that sweet dessert. And this is, you know, this is going to have 0 animal product in it, so it's got no saturated fat. Can't. Okay, by definition, it can't.
And if you check for the fat grams or the calories in a Cheesecake Factory, obviously it tastes really good, so we won't go there. But this saves you a whole lot of calories and a whole lot of fat grams and a lot of cholesterol and all those things.
Now, yes, go ahead. Ask her.
What is this vegan sugar?
Okay. I didn't know how to bring this up, but every sugar that you eat, a lot of vegans will not eat a regular sugar because the final process in making sugar is they put it through charred bone. And that's the way they have to do it. And I'm like, even now, you have to use charred bone for this process. But charred bone, like cow.
Charcoal made from the bones of bovines.
You can call the company. My sister did it because she didn't believe it. And you can check on the internet. That is the final process of making sugar. Wow. To a real vegan who's 100%, you know, veganism is a very political and ethical thing now. It's a movement. And a lot of vegans just don't want to have cruelty to animals. So all the decisions are made in that way. You know, that's one decision making. For us, it was more changing because of my children's allergies. Then there are people who have a disease and want to change their health. But if you get an organic sugar, or I like the one from Costco, they have a 5-pound bag, that is not put through that final process. And it's less processed, so it still maintains some of its minerals and some of the good properties that sugar actually has.
What about raw sugar or brown sugar?
Brown sugar, only thing that brown sugar is white sugar with molasses in it. That's the only thing.
Even the raw sugar is insipid.
You have to check with your company. I've learned from my sister, I don't do this, but my sister does it and tells me. She will call the company and they will tell her. She'll say, how do you process this? What do you use? What chemicals do you use? Because she cares about all that.
Her sister's a pesky caller. She'll call on any restaurant you go to and ruin your experience for you. Interestingly, Kevin just told me a story last night. He went to Rosita's. Is that a place? Rosales? Rosas? It's a kind of like Taco Cabana, right? So he went to Rosas and he asked for the beans, and sure enough, the beans have all kinds of meat in them. He specifically asked him, do these beans have meat in them? And the person behind the counter said, no. And so he said, okay, and he tasted it, and he said, that tastes like meat to me. So he went back to the lady in the cook's area, in the kitchen, and she said, I don't know, yeah, I think we do put some meat in there. But she says, it's blended down real fine. Oh, okay. You mean I can drink it with a straw? Then it's okay. Meat through a straw. Anyway, so he was very upset about that because the person just gave him wrong information. Well, MaryEllen's sister is the big caller. Every restaurant we go to, it's like, what shortening do you use? And I'm going, don't ask! I don't want to know! But she's always asking and messing up restaurants for me. Yes, MSG. Y'all can't hear her because her throat is cut off from eating MSG, okay? I know I'm teasing. She went to Applebee's, had a similar experience. They said no MSG. And it was there. Now, I'll tell you, there's a lot of interesting products. You've got to read very carefully because MSG stands for what? Anybody know? Monosodium glutamate. But there are a number of ones that are just a molecule or so off of monosodium glutamate so that they can put them under a different name. You got to ask David's son because he's a chemist and he'll tell you what the difference is. But anyway, they've got all these dextroma whatever stuff. And it's just MSG with one electron missing or something. And so they get to call it by a different name.
Well, I wanted to write down that, did you say engine 2 and forks over knives?
Right. There is so much information now that's so easy to access now. The main ones I would recommend is a DVD called Forks Over Knives. This man is like the top in his field, and he's done the China study. He talks all about that, which was a longitudinal study about dairy, meat, and all those things. Engine 2 diet is this man's son. The Forks Over Knives, I think his name is Iselman or Edelman. Forks Over Knives is the DVD, and then his son came out with Engine 2 diet. He's actually been to Whole Foods. If you go into Whole Foods toward the back, everything says Engine 2, and they have all his recommendations. He's a plant-based diet, which is really what all of us should be eating, which is what God gave us to begin with. You know, not vegan cream cheese and all that. Those are what we like. What we really should be eating is legumes, vegetables, fruits, you know, grains, and those kind of things, and then have treats. But here in America, we like our treats every day, 3 meals a day. And so then we have diseases. But it's very easy in this country to have delicious food like that. The harder way to eat is the better way, which is you actually have to cook, which a lot of us don't have time for. Rice and beans and all those basic ingredients that don't have a list this long of chemicals. And they recommend also Dr. McDougall. He's my favorite. If you look him up, it's McDougall. He has tons and tons of recipes. He's also a cardiologist. His is rather severe. He says absolutely no fat. And his diets, if you eat the way he tells you to, is very curative to almost every disease, including cancer, lupus, and all these different things. But basically, the most simple we eat, the better we are healthy. Because in our fast-paced society and restaurants and all that, we're eating all this stuff that is not good for us. Fourth thing you asked me about, these are Adventists. I wanted to also show you our own church's published cookbooks, and y'all can come up and look at it afterwards. This is by the Brackets. It's called 7 Secrets. They actually had a restaurant that was very successful, vegetarian or vegan restaurant, that was mainly in a business district. And so I trust their recipes because if businessmen will come and eat vegan food, it must be pretty good. So this is a really good one. And this one's called Naturally Gourmet, and it's really good also if anyone wants to look at our Adventists. Just everywhere you go, you'll see, I was at Anthropology, which is a very cool store over at Waters Creek, and here it says, this is a vegan cookbook on veggie burgers, the whole thing. And this is at a regular clothing, neat, quirky store. So all the information is out there for us, and it's so simple to learn about it, but it's so difficult to change our own palate.
Let's thank our ladies and their helpers.